Okay guys, the Supra is starting to run pretty dang good if I do say so myself. I'm quite happy with how everything's turning out. So now let's start turning things up just a little bit. I haven't quite gotten into, well, wide open throttle, top end of the RPM range yet. However, we're kind of working our way that way. It is only on waste state pressure still, which is about 7 PSI in this car, which isn't much at all. Okay, so real quick, let's go over the operation and, well, just the whole idea of the MAC valve boost controller. Most aftermarket boost controllers nowadays are, at their core, MAC valves. Most of them will have like a big shiny sticker over it that says like Haltech or AEM or Grimspeed or, you know, any of those. Basically, they're all the same, just with a giant sticker over top of them. How do they get away with this? Well, they all claim that there's different quality pieces to it and each one has its own connector or its own fittings, so on and so forth. And really, anybody can do that. But at its core, this is like a $20 to $25 valve that is digitally pulsed by the computer to control the amount of airflow that flows through it. Now, and what I mean by digitally pulsed is this is basically an electronic valve that opens and closes a set amount of time based on the duty cycle that you give it, that pretty much only allows a set amount of airflow to flow through it to your map sensor, or whatever, most of the time it's a map sensor, to basically control the amount of boost. I have already set this thing up a little bit. Basically, we have our two vacuum ports, our bleed port. This is basically going to intercept the signal just like a standard vacuum boost solenoid would. And then we've got our Deutsch connector, which is 2-pin. Basically, this only needs to see a switched 12-volt power. And then the ground is essentially going to be grounded to the ECU, which I will have to figure out which auxiliary output I'm going to use. It's probably going to be like auxiliary 5 or something, whatever's left on there. Let's go ahead and get this little guy installed. All right, pretty straightforward, honestly. Okay, so if you look right here, this is the waste state actuator. We got the hose, which loops from it to the compressor housing. Easy enough. I'm just gonna remove this hose and then put my boost control solenoid. Basically, it's just gonna intercept this boost signal here. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get removing this. That way. I don't think that thing's going anywhere. All right, I'm thinking somewhere around right here, because basically this is going to go straight into the waste state and loop around, and this is just going to go into the side here. I think we'll be a-okay with that. So I'm just going to cut this hose here, run another hose down there. I'll be right back with you guys. See, I believe, and then this one goes to boost reference. And we can just tuck that in right there. Okay, so I'm kind of proud of this. I'm over here, I'm wiring in the boost controller, and I just want to show you how I punched this one wire through the firewall, and I got it into the sheathing that's already there. So when I did my oxygen sensor, I used this TechFlex wrap right here, right? And if you look really closely, there's little holes in it. So I was able to shove this tiny wire in through a TechFlex, and it guided itself all the way through the rubber grommet, which I'm still using the OEM rubber grommet. Then if you look in here, you can see that wire coming out right here. No, it's not in behind the heat shrink, but it is routed in through this sheathing right here, which is freaking awesome. So I can just see it poking out of there. And we crimp it in. That one. Okay, so now that the MAC valve is wired in, it's plumbed in, the vacuum lines are all set, we can go over to the laptop here and we can enable the boost tab and enable boost control. We want it to start off in open loop. We don't want to go straight to closed loop. Basically, closed loop will actively control the duty cycle to reach a target boost. So we want to tune it in open loop for starters, and then eventually we'll swap it over to the closed loop. We have the solenoid output in aux4. We don't want to invert it. 30 hertz on the solenoid frequency, which is pretty standard on a MAC valve. Minimum duty cycle is 10%, maximum duty cycle is 85%. I might end up raising that to be like 90%, but we'll see what happens as time goes. So yeah, that does it for these settings. Then I just got to plug it in the car, make permanent to transfer these settings over to the ECU, and then it should be good to go. Now, how boost control normally works is you can usually run double the wastegate pressure. So what that means is we can pretty much go up to about 15 PSI with the factory wastegate installed, which honestly, on the factory CT26, I think that's more than enough for now, especially since we're still on pump gas. Once we switch over to E85, run flex fuel through this thing, we'll start pumping it up a little bit more. But for now, I think this is gonna be just right. So, okay, so one more thing I wanted to mention here before we go ahead and, well, you know what, let's just do it. Turn the car on, we are connected, use calibration from software. We're going to save this. And if you look here, I have my wastegate duty cycle set to about 15%. So I am estimating 15% duty cycle to bump up the boost by about 1 to 2 PSI. Now, if you remember correctly, I did say that, well, we can double the wastegate pressure. So at 7 PSI is pretty much what we got to work with here. So basically, for every 10%, we're looking at 1/10 of the total boost pressure. So the reason I have gone with 15% duty cycle is because, well, that should be roughly 1 to 2 PSI over the factory 7 PSI. We'll find out here once we get going. Okay, let's see how she starts up today, shall we? Not too bad, not too bad. I gotta go run some errands, so let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll turn up the boost along the way. Okay, so we're in second gear. We should be all set and ready to go. Yeah. It's running pretty good, y'all. I'm quite happy with it. Let's do a quick pull here, and we'll check out the data on this screen. Okay, so again, if you look down here, you should see about 15% and probably about 20-ish PSI on the boost scale there. Oh, I don't have my boost scale up. Hold on. Okay, so we got our map and we got our boost control, duty cycle anyways. Do a quick pull here, see what we got. There it goes. Should have seen about 15 PSI. Okay, so you should have seen roughly about probably 20, 21 PSI on the map sensor. And the reason for that is because it's PSI atmosphere. So atmosphere being 0 and 0 boost essentially being 14.7 on that scale. So 21, 22 PSI is roughly 7 to 8 PSI. Let's start bumping it up. Let's try about 35% sounds good. Let's do that. Okay, so now to change the boost setting, we just go over here, go to this scale, we type in 35, and wham! And just for the heck of it, I'm going to make permanent. And there we go. Don't ask me why I don't do these, it's just, I don't know, out of habit. I'm gonna re-highlight all this so I can change it on the fly again. So at this point, we should see 35% here, and probably another 1 or maybe 2 PSI here. Probably about 1. I expect it to see about 22, 23 PSI here. There goes my laptop. Yeah! Gotta love those sounds. All right, now let's check it out on here. We should see about 35%. There we go. And we saw about 22 on the map scaling, which is pretty much right on the money. We're seeing results, y'all. Let's turn it up to, should we do 55, 60? Let's see what we got. on my computer here. Well, technically it was 23.8 psi, 23.6 or something like that, which pretty much, let's see, 23 minus 14.7, right about 9 psi. At 50% duty cycle, that's pretty good. Obviously, we're gonna crank it up a little more. I think I still have a little bit more injector to go yet, so just keep turning it up until run out of fuel, I guess. I'd say it's running pretty good. It is running a little lean under high load. Well, honestly, low 12s at about 8-9 psi, pump gas, should be all right. So far, everything's looking really good. We're at about 9 psi at 50% duty cycle. So with that, it's running really well. I had to punch in a little bit more fuel on the top end, but in general, I mean, come on, it's a stock 7M. I'm still in the factory intercooler in this car. Can't expect too much. The car might be making about 240 horsepower to the wheels, maybe 250. Keep in mind, this car in comparison to my BRZ should be relatively about the same power. However, the gearing in this car is much, much longer than it is my BRZ, because this one also only has 5 speeds, whereas my BRZ has 6. Definitely needs more fuel up top. Let's see what we got here. It's good. It's good. It's definitely picking up some speed. Ultimately, what I'm trying to do right now is really dial in the air fuels and the ignition timing before I go any further with pumping up the boost, because we're already at 9 psi, we're on pump gas, so we got stock fuel pump, stock turbo, stock fuel injectors, still running on batch fire injection. We got a lot of work ahead of us, but I will say fuel pump, injectors, and oil cooler are next up for this car, so stay tuned. Car's a little bit of a backfire. I think the reason this car runs so rich under vacuum and really light load, it's just part of the batch fire fuel injection. So once I swap everything over to sequential fuel injection, where it only fires the injectors when they actually need to, I think everything will be okay. But for right now, we're just working with what we got. Good running machine, guys, I'm telling you. If you want to get a car and have some fun and do some light modding on the weekend, some good driving, make it a classic, I'm telling you, these cars I have are budget friendly still. You can still get an 87 Supra Turbo for right around 10 grand. Is it a lot more than it used to be? Yeah, but there are gems out there, and this car is proof of that. All right, guys, we're home. Those fans are blowing. They're working great. 194 degrees on the coolant temp. IATs are getting pretty hot, but that is pre-turbo. So that is actually before the air is compressed and sent into the motor. So definitely have some really hot intake temps here. I'm gonna have to work something out with that, because that is pretty insane. We are getting some pretty serious heat soak here, so I'm gonna pop open the hood and take a look at what I can do about my intake maybe in the near future. It does smell a little bit like oil, but considering this thing does still leak oil because, well, I've never gone through this entire motor. All I've ever fixed on it were the valve covers, and I swapped out the head bolts for head studs. With all that said, it is getting really, really freaking hot. So yeah, this metal pipe is cooking. This guy probably is not helping either. I'm going to see if there's a way that I could potentially get some cooler air into here. If you look, it looks like we might be able to scoop some air up from down low. Possibly right here. And then see what we can do with that. Because if I can get air to scoop up and go into here, that'll definitely drop my air intake temps. At the end of it all, we really need to upgrade the piping. As far as the intake temps go, for right now, there's not really too much I can do but provide more cooling to the air filter or the actual intake of the car. Aside from all that, let's take a look at the data that we just got. If you look on here, this is a good pull. So we almost hit 6,000 RPMs. I for some reason, I don't see a point in revving out this car because it feels like it stops making power after like 5,200 RPM. Just being real. Which obviously, as you can see here, we're punching it at about 4,200 RPM, 4,300. So yeah, it kind of is what it is. But we are actually making 22 pounds of boost, and it is definitely dropping. Let me see if I can pull something else up here. I wonder. Yeah, that is definitely cooking. 132 degree intake temps. That's pretty warm. We gotta drop those numbers. So it looks like there might just be a little bit of a knock event right here. Knock level, knock engine noise voltage. Okay. That's close. That's very close right there, but I don't think we actually have any knock. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research on the actual knock event of this car. Okay guys, I guess that's gonna do it for today's video. The Supra is running absolutely fantastic right now. I can't be more happier with it. We got the boost turned up to about 9 to 10 PSI. We'll be working on turning that up even more in the future. However, at this point, we really have to work on bringing down the intake air temps because after about 30 minutes of driving in this heat, I'm seeing about 140 degrees, which is way too hot. That is in Fahrenheit for those of you from Australia and overseas. So with that, that means we are gonna have to get some intercooler and piping upgrades going on, as well as probably the oil cooler upgrade as well. That is definitely in the near future because we really wanna stay on top of the oiling and cooling system of the 7M. That's the only way you can really get these motors to last. Well, it's really the only way to get any motor to last, but we really gotta stay on top of it with this car in particular. That's not something I wanna skip out on. So with that said, if you guys haven't already and you wanna support the channel and you enjoy this content, head on over to billybuilds.com, or even if you just want to get yourself some merch, you need some new t-shirts, working on cars, going to car meets, whatever. You have a Mark III Supra, you have a Z. I'm even working on BRZ stuff right now, so that'll be out in the near future. So I greatly appreciate it if you guys went over there, check that out. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop a comment. Stay tuned for the next video of Supra content, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.